then stay home. Nobody's entitled to we're not all entitled to basically say, oh, you feel this way, let me care about your feelings. Mm. The world don't do that. It hasn't done that. So when I say this sense of entitlement, you want us to care about how you feel when we as people in this world don't care about how people feel. This proof suicide rates is high for everybody on all across the boards. Depression high all across the board. The workforce don't give a shit how you feel. Family don't care how you feel. The government don't care how you feel. But you want everybody to care how you feel about your own identity, how you feel about yourself. If you feel like you a woman, cool. You had that. You're a woman. I feel like I'm 6'2". I'm not.
But you feel that way, and that's all that matters.
But I feel that way, and that's all that matters. I may walk like I am 6'2", and I'm like, what's up, little man? But I'm looking up at you. Hey, nevertheless, though, I don't care. But I'm not expecting the whole world to say, respect me like I'm a 6'2" man. Right. No, man, nah. I mean, like, I get it. I came to the realization that I got small hands. I didn't think about that. You know? And I was just like, for the longest, I thought I had like large hands, but I'm looking at them like, oh my God, they're small. But they're proportioned for my size, but they're still like, wow. Then none of them. But I get it. The perception of myself and how I see myself is okay. But I'm not expecting the whole world to say, oh, wow, you got strong, firm grip. Hey, respect my handshake. It's strong. It's long.
6 foot hands.
These are 6 foot hands. Respect it. And don't squeeze it too hard because it might hurt. You know? So it's just that. But like I said, I definitely do think that it's entitlement for me. That's all. I mean, we can all disagree. And once again, we can all disagree and have discussions about it. So if anybody has any opinion, any opinions, thoughts, concerns, please feel free to call in or message us. You don't have to show your face. Tasha didn't show her face, so she's good. Even though she's very beautiful. She didn't show her face.
I see my face.
No. But you're not on. You're on my phone. You're not on the podcast. I mean, if you want, we can put you on the podcast right now.
Oh, I don't want to be.
Yeah, okay. And I called her on vacation.
I think for me, going back to what you were saying about it being a privilege and a choice, like when I think about it, okay, if gender, and one of the comments said this on TikTok, you know, and I completely agree with it. If gender is a spectrum, right? Why do you have to change your being to be on this spectrum? Why can't you just accept wherever it is that you fall on this spectrum? And one of the things that Tash kept saying was your truth. And that I used to use that statement until I really sat down and I thought about it, because truth is definitive. It either is the truth or it is not, right? If it's not, then it's your perspective. And I've really embraced not using the word my truth, because it's not my truth. It's not definitive. It's my perspective. It's how I see the world based on my life experiences, based on the lenses that I have, right? And so when you think about it in terms of perspective versus truth, like truth is, it is what it is. That's it. You can't tell me nothing because this is my truth. That's it. But when you think about it as perspective, oh, okay, well, if I shift, if I move over to the left, or if I move over to the right, or if I go across or whatever, there's a different perspective to be had. And when you use the word perspective, you're automatically taking other people into consideration, because you know that somebody else is going to have, they're going to have a completely different perspective of the situation. Mm-hmm. Versus with truth, there is no room for that. It's just, that's it. I draw the line here.
It's the truth. It's facts.
Right, but that's the thing. But your identity isn't a fact. It's your perspective.
Yep. It's your perspective. At times, I think I'm a secret agent for the CIA. I'm not.
That's sure enough not a fact.
That's not a fact.
But it wholeheartedly can be.
Not even my perspective. It's an imagination.
That's okay, but that's a perspective, right? That's the way that I choose to see the world, myself, whatever. And so when we choose to, like, words really do matter, right? So when we have our own perspective, it opens the door for us to be mindful of other people's perspectives. Yes, this person chooses to see themselves as a woman when I obviously don't see that. Cool. That's your perspective. I see something different, but I respect your perspective. Sometimes you got to turn the picture upside down. I don't know.
Is that?
So, I think this whole the whole gender identity stuff is just really just such a murky place. And then when it leaks into school, and that was the next question that I had for conversation. Should we be talking about gender identity in schools? What age is it appropriate to have those conversations? Should there be like a curriculum on sexual orientation and gender identity?
What do you think, Tosh? Because Jordan's a parent and you're a parent. What do you think?
Because I agree. Like, as far as the teaching in the schools, because my kids were coming back with stuff that I didn't even think that they would talk about, and they're learning them in the schools, and all of this, because I'm so old school with the she, her, me, them, that, all of these things. Mm-hmm. And what are you talking about?
Right.
So, when my kids are coming, they're 11 and 12, and they're talking about that's them, and I'm like, what are you talking? That's one person. What are you talking about?
Right, I get it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Jordan.
No, she said she gets it. She gets it.
Yeah, and I feel like as a parent, that should be my safe to share with my kids, and I don't feel like the schools, because I don't feel like that's a safe place for them to be opened up to this, opened up. I feel like as a parent, they're not allowing us the space to teach our kids what the truth, what I feel like is what I want for my kids, how I want my kids to be taught. I don't feel like, as long as I'm not sure what you guys are teaching or how you're teaching it, I don't agree with it. It's not no them. You're one person. So there's a lot of things that I don't agree with, and I don't feel like school is the place for that to be taught. Especially we're not teaching Black history. I definitely don't want to be teaching that.
Like I said, privilege, because you want to teach that, but you don't want to teach everything else. You want to campaign to teach gender identity, but you're not trying to campaign to teach the truth of America. You're not trying to campaign to treat the truth of Black history. So again, when I say privilege, it's because it's a privileged mentality. You want them to teach what you're going through right now and negate everything else from Black history, Hispanic history, Asian history in this country in itself.
Right.
Privilege. It ain't, and they're not making any headway, follow through on none of that. They just want, we need to teach kids about gender identity. It's getting more attention than teaching people about human decency.
Right. Yeah, I think it definitely should be left outside of the school.
And like I said, it's privilege. It's privilege. You want to basically, the pronouns, him, her, she. I'm like, see, now, again, it's privilege. You wanted to add on more complications to the fact that you're just a woman, you're just a man, you're just a human being, but you want to keep adding on things. Listen, nobody cares about all that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's struggling for all of that. You're fighting yourself. You're fighting the world to get a place in the world when nobody's really paying attention to you. And that's how it should be. We're not paying attention to you. So, what's the problem? You want to be a woman, be a woman. I mean, ain't nobody stunting you. But, the world should know. Why?
Well, and that brings me to, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, or YouTube short, and there was this middle school teacher. He identified as a gay male, and he was talking on the YouTube short about how he came out to his middle school classroom. And my first thought was, that's inappropriate, because I don't.
Inappropriate.
If I was a middle school teacher, I wouldn't be talking to my kids about my sex life or my sexual preferences like that. That's just, there's not a space for that. But he was so proud of himself, and he had his stuff, he had his pride flag and his family and all this stuff all over the classroom, which I don't have a problem with that. Whatever, that's your choice. But I feel like to have that conversation with your students is highly inappropriate in a school. And the fact that, like I said, he was so proud of it. Like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. I finally came out to my students, and they had a Q&A session, and they were asking me all these questions and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm just not. And for me, it's because, yes, this is your lived experience, right? But as a teacher, I don't feel like teachers are equipped to teach children about sexual orientation and gender identity without inputting their own beliefs and their own bias, right? So how can you teach my child something that you're biased about? This isn't facts. This isn't science. This isn't research. This isn't any of those things. This is your personal experience that you're sharing as if it were facts. And that's where I'm like, no, I don't feel like this should be a topic for discussion in sexual education. I just don't. But if there was to be an age for it, definitely not in elementary school.
Definitely not. I feel like if you're going to talk about that, it's called sex education at that point.
I feel like that's like a high school thing. Yes.
That's a sex education conversation right there. That's where you have that conversation. Oh, but you're trying to enforce them at a young age. And I'm like,